OpenAI has just shipped a plugin that puts Codex inside of Claude Code. It's not a workaround, it's not some community hack that someone threw together on GitHub. OpenAI themselves, they built this. There's 3 engineers on their team. They made an official plugin that lets you run GPT 5.4 inside of your Claude Code terminal. And I know what you're thinking, like, why would OpenAI do that? Why would they build something that makes their biggest competitor's tool better? Well, that's the wrong question. The right question is, what does it mean that the best way to use these tools now is to use them together? So first, let's just get into what this actually is. Now, the plugin, it's obviously called Codex Plugin CC. So it's open source, Apache 2.0 license. It's sitting on GitHub right under OpenAI's official organization. Now, it's picked up about 10,000 stars already, and it's only been, maybe about 4 days since it's being released. Now, under the hood, it's actually relatively simple. So it's just a thin Node.js wrapper that delegates to your local Codex CLI and your Codex application server. So it doesn't spin up some separate runtime. It doesn't create its own authorization system. It just hooks into whatever Codex is already set up and what you have on your machine, and it exposes just a few / commands inside of Claude Code. As you can see, it is extremely straightforward, very simple. So to install it, 4 lines, you add it from the marketplace, you install the plugin, you reload your plugins, and then you can just run your Codex setup, which handles authorization through your ChatGPT account. Now, if you do not even have Codex CLI installed, the setup command, it offers to install it for you as well. And once it is in, you get about 6 different commands, but there's really only 3 that you need to be caring about. So first, it's going to be this Codex review. Now, this is a standard just read-only code review. So it's the same quality as running review inside of Codex directly. You can use it on any uncommitted changes or just pass a base flag to compare against a branch. So it's nothing fancy. It just reads your code and tells you what it actually thinks. Now, second, this is going to be a Codex adversarial review. Now, this is the one that everyone's talking about, and for a pretty good reason, where this isn't a neutral review. Like, this is Codex actively questioning the design decisions in your code, so it pressure tests any trade-offs, it looks for any failure models, and asks whether a simple approach would have actually worked off better for you. And it is also steerable, so you can tell it exactly what to focus on. So if you are just building a caching layer and you want Codex to specifically challenge your retry logic and your invalidation strategy, like, you can pass that as focus text after all the flags. Now, third, it is the rescue. So this one lets you hand off an entire task to Codex as a sub-agent. So any bug investigation, any implementing fixes, or continuing any previous sessions, like, you can specify the model and then you can set the effort level and just run it in the background while you keep working with Opus. Now, there's also a status command, a result command, and a cancel command for just managing any background job. And then there's also this thing called the review gate. Now, the review gate, what this is, I want to flag because it's powerful, but it's also incredibly dangerous, where when you enable it, every single time Claude finishes a response, Codex, it is going to automatically review it before it goes through. And if Codex finds any issues at all, the response gets blocked and Claude has to actually address them first. Now, OpenAI themselves, they put a warning in the README. So if you actually were to go through this, like, this thing can create long-running loops that burn through your usage limits incredibly fast. So with that being said, do not just flip it on and go crazy with it without you actually knowing really what you're getting yourself into. Make sure you're only using it very sparingly and on very important complex tasks. Now, before we go deeper on actually setting this up, walking through some demos and analyzing all of this stuff, I want to just give you some quick context on where I'm coming from. So if you are new to the channel, my name is Nick. I've spent the last 2 years helping companies implementing AI and helping hundreds of entrepreneurs build AI businesses. I've been deep in Claude Code since basically the beginning. I've built client systems, internal dashboards, automation backends, all through this. Now, I've also been playing around with Codex separately, but this plugin just dropped and I spent the last day or so going through it, testing it on real projects. I wanted to share what I'm actually seeing so far. Now, this isn't just me reading the README file to you. I've actually been using it, so let me tell you why this thing actually matters more than most people are realizing. Now, where things get a little bit more interesting, it has to do with a very fundamental problem with having just one AI model writing your code and then reviewing its own code. So with that, Anthropic actually published about this on their engineering blog just last week. So their engineers, they found that when you actually ask an agent to evaluate work that it just produced, it tends to praise its own output. Even when, and this is the key part, even when a human looking at the same code would be calling it mediocre. Now, the model, it is biased towards its own work. It generated generated that code, it had reasons for every single decision, and when it reviews those decisions, it rationalizes them, and that's very problematic. So if you think about this, like when you've been working on something for hours, like you're the worst person to actually proofread it, and it's not because you are bad at proofreading, it's because your brain fills in the gaps. So you read what you meant to write instead of what you actually wrote. Now AI models, they do the same exact thing, just at a different scale. So Anthropic's solution, it was architectural. Like they separated the agent doing the work from the agent judging it. And their own results, it showed that as a separate evaluator, even when it's still an AI, it is way easier to tune for skepticism than trying to make a generator critical of itself. And that is exactly what the plugin is giving you. So when you run adversarial review, you're not asking Opus to check its own homework. You're actually bringing in a completely different model, trained on different data with different strengths to look at the same code with fresh eyes. And it's not that Codex is smarter than Claude, it's that Codex is just inherently different from Claude. And with that, this different model, it catches different things. Now really quick, let me just give you some numbers because I think these benchmarks, they get misused a lot, but they do tell you something useful when you actually read them correctly. So let's actually zoom in a little bit here. And on the SWE bench verified, which is the standard test for real GitHub issue resolutions, Opus 4.6, it leads at about 80.8%. GPT 5.4, it is just right behind at roughly 80%. Now with this, less than a point is actually separating them. So for your daily bug fixing and feature work, they're basically tied on that metric. But then you look at the SWE Bench Pro, the second one right here. And with this is the harder version designed to resist benchmark gaming. Now 5.4, it hits about 57.7. Opus 4.6 is somewhere around 45%. So that's under standardized conditions. So that is a meaningful gap. Now on novel engineering problems that the model has not seen before, which is closer to what production work actually looks like, GPT 5.4, it genuinely has a real edge. And here's what actually makes this particularly interesting for the plugin specifically is that GPT 5.4, it is the first AI model to beat the human expert baseline on desktop automation through OS world. So it's strong on execution heavy, terminal heavy tasks. Opus, on the other hand, it holds the #1 ELO ranking on chatbot arena across text, code, and search. So it's the model people consistently prefer when they're actually using it in conversation and in real coding sessions. So to actually give you the practical translation of all that, Opus, it is the better architectural thinker overall. So it handles ambiguity very well. It understands what you meant even when your prompt was kind of vague. In 5.4, it is faster, cheaper, and stronger on execution, especially when you give it very precise instructions. Now there's actually a comment on Hacker News that nails the difference. So someone said that if you ask Claude to fix a test that says assert 1 + 1 = 3, Claude will say that's obviously a typo and just rewrite the test. Codex, it would rewrite the entire V8 engine to break arithmetic. Now that's the behavioral gap in just a nutshell. So Claude interprets intent, Codex follows instructions to the letter. And here's the thing, like you don't have to pick one. Like that is the whole point of this, using them in tandem. Okay, so here's what happened. I'm gonna first walk you through what I've actually built out just using Opus 4.6. So it is this feedback application. We can actually walk through it. We can see the agents inside of here, the claude.md file. There's actually nothing even in there, but you can see everything else. And I pushed it to Git, and that way so Codex can actually interact with it. But in any case, I just built out a simple application. Now I just want to have Codex and 4.6 review both of them, and we'll see what we actually get. So if we go back into our terminal right here, we can see inside of this window. So I first started off asking the Codex adversarial review to walk through this feedback application and see what it finds. So with that, it is going to review this right off the bat. So we have the race condition. This is extremely high. So first off, Codex, it came back with about 2 high severity findings. It caught the race condition. So that's just 2 requests hitting the endpoint at the same time, and they can both read the file before either one writes. So one submission, it is going to get silently lost. That's really what's going on there. And it also caught the error handling problem. So if the JSON file gets corrupted, the catch block, it is going to return an empty array, and the next one just writes or overwrites everything else. Now, those are both real, very important issues, both well explained, but here's what also surprised me. When I had asked Opus to do its own adversarial review on the same code, Opus actually found 10 different things. So it caught those same 2 issues that Codex actually found. So the race condition and the silent data loss, but then it just kept on going. So it flagged that there are no input size limits. So someone could post a 100 megabyte message and perhaps even blow up the entire file if they wanted to. So it caught that the process breaks on any serverless deployment. It found the dedupe, that it can be bypassed just by adding a space to the message. It also flagged any missing CSRF protection, and it pointed out an XSS risk from rendering raw servers in the DOM. Now, it also ended with a design level challenge. So within this, it was just questioning whether a JSON file was ever the right storage choice or not. So the numbers, Codex, it actually found out that there were 2 issues. Opus, it had found out specifically 10 different issues. So I mean, like, they also overlapped on 2, but that's 10 total unique issues. In Codex, it only caught 2 of them. Now, does that mean that the plugin is rendered useless? No, it actually means something just much more nuanced, and that's that Codex, it was focused. So it zeroed in on the 2 most dangerous data loss bugs, and it explained them very clearly, as you guys just saw. And if you only had 60 seconds to find the most likely to lose user data in production, Codex, it's going to be the better bet. Opus, it went much wider, it casted a wider net. So it found more issues across security, deployment, and design. So there's just a different approach and it had different coverage. And honestly, this is still the argument for using both of these. Like, even in the case where one model outperforms the other on volume, they validate each other's findings. And those 2 issues both models flagged, like, you now know with high confidence that those are real problems and they're not just hallucinated concerns. And that cross-model agreement, it is worth something to consider. And even in my first few tests, all the way up here, where I actually utilized Codex. Within this, like, I had Opus build the web app that you're looking at right now inside of these files right here. And when I ran the Codex adversarial review on it, now before we get into the trade-offs and discuss any further, I want to show you how you can actually set up this Codex review. It's actually pretty straightforward. So we're just asking it to set up this plugin inside of here. Let's actually open up a new terminal to give you a better idea. So what you're going to do, you're first just going to copy what I am writing out. So we're going to go to plugin, and we could go to marketplace, and you can see I've already added OpenAI Codex. So you just simply type out or press enter, and you just type out the OpenAI Codex. So we can say specifically OpenAI or add OpenAI / Codex plugin CC. And with that, it would normally be adding this, but of course I already have it added. But if we just back up a little bit, you can see that I have it added right here. And then we could just scroll down, and you'll then want to click on this. You can go to the browse plugins, and this is where you're going to install the Codex from there. And with that, you should be able to back up, and you just say Codex setup, and it's going to start setting it up for you, in which case you'll just have to log in. And you'll just simply have to type out, if we scroll down even further, it is just simply Codex login. You copy that, and it will automatically prompt up to open up your browser, where you just have to log in, and you can then continue with your Codex setup, and you'll be good to go. In which case, now when you're actually running an application or building something out, you can just do the adversarial review, just like I have done right here. So what that looks like is Codex and adversarial review, and you can just run it on whatever you built out. Now, I do want to be very upfront about the downsides, because even after just a day of testing, there are some real ones. First, that's obviously speed. So Codex, it does run slower than Opus on most tasks, and I gave them both the same prompts to build a game from scratch. Now Opus, it finished way faster. Codex, it took significantly longer, and then it came back saying it only completed about 1 of the 3 planned phases. Now Opus, it shipped the whole thing, so like if you're measuring by turnaround time, Opus, it is going to be your winner. Second, Codex is more rigid. Now, a lot of developers, they have been saying this, and from what I've seen so far, I completely agree. Codex, it doesn't ask good clarifying questions, and it does not plan too well. So it takes your instructions just very literally, like that Hacker News comment that I mentioned. Like, Claude interprets what you probably meant. So Codex does exactly what you said, on the other hand, even when what you said was just underlyingly wrong. So if you're not precise with your prompts, Codex will go off in a direction that you really didn't want or intends to, and build something that you did not ask and waste some tokens for you. Third, that is usage limits. So the good news is you can use this with a free ChatGPT account. You don't need to pay OpenAI anything to get this working, but I should mention that the free tier Codex Access is currently a limited time promotion. So OpenAI hasn't said when it actually ends. And even while it lasts, like the free limits, they are very tight. So you're going to get a handful of reviews. So you're going to get a handful of reviews before you're even waiting for your limits to be resetting. So if you do want any meaningful daily usage, you're probably looking at ChatGPT Plus at minimum $20 a month on top of what you're already paying Anthropic for. So it can turn into very easily a two-subscription situation depending on how heavy you actually go. Fourth is the review gate feature specifically. This can burn through usage very fast if you are not careful. Now developers, from what I've seen, they're already reporting getting caught in Codex Claude loops that just ate through their limits. So you have to use this with supervision, or if you're not, don't use it at all. Now fifth, there are already bugs. So I am on Mac and I've already hit path-related issues with the plugin. So the companion script, it dropped the socket connection on me during a long review. So it is brand new and it feels brand new in some aspects. So keep that in mind. All right, now just zoom out with me for a second because I think this plugin is a clear signal of something much, much bigger. Like we're moving away from these single model workflows and this era of like, I'm a Claude person or I'm a GPT person. It is just ending. Like the developers who are actually getting the most leverage right now, they're the ones who are just composing workflows across different models. So they're using Claude for architecture, using Codex for views, maybe using Gemini for something else entirely. Like there are already open source tools like CCG workflow on GitHub that routes tasks between Claude and then Codex and then Gemini with almost 30 different commands. So Cursor, they're experimenting with running multiple models in parallel inside of their IDE, so you can actually get the best output from any competing models. Now, they're also building cross-resume tools that lets you pick up a session in one agent that was just started in another. And the logic behind it is very simple. Like when you have the same model, planning, modeling, and then reviewing its own work, it carries the same blind spots through every step. And Anthropic, they said this themselves, like a separate evaluator, it is easier to make skeptical than just getting a builder to be critical of its own output. So different models, they were trained on different data. They weight things differently. They catch different edge cases. And that's not theory. None of that is theory. That's what I said. That's literally what I saw in my own testing today with this plugin. So Codex, it found things that Opus missed. Opus found things that Codex missed. Now, neither one was enough alone. And this is where software development is actually heading. It's not which model is the best. It's which combination of models catch the most problems before they hit production. So if you're somebody who's actually building with these tools, not just watching videos about all of them, I would encourage you to join our free school community. We've got over 18,000 members in there right now, and the conversations about real workflows, real systems, and real businesses are awesome. People are sharing their multi-model setups, their Claude Code configurations, the actual stuff that moves the needle. So link will be down below in the description. And if this video was useful, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and also check out our free AI newsletter for weekly AI strategies to starting and growing your business. But in any case, drop a comment, let me know what you guys thought, and I will see you in the next video.